One song, one stone balcony, and in less than a week, London went from cheering for Rachel Zegler to calling her the narcissist of the West End. It began as a publicity masterstroke. Zegler, wrapped in white silk, lifting her arms over the theater facade and pouring "Don't Cry for Me" Argentina into the summer sky. Phones shot up. TikTok lit up. Even the tourists outside Trafalgar Square froze, certain they were witnessing history. 48 hours later, that same clip was stitched beside grainy dictator footage. Tabloids were screaming about tone-deaf ego, and the mayor's office was fielding letters demanding her removal. Ticket holders who'd paid £500 for velvet seats were stuck inside watching the diva on a ceiling livestream, while 600 strangers cheered for free on the pavement below. Now the question hanging in the smoky stage lights is simple. Did Rachel Zegler just orchestrate the boldest marketing coup of her career, or ignite a cultural firestorm that could end it? Keep watching, because the next 4 minutes will make you choose a side. The first evening felt electric. Street lamps hadn't even flickered on when the crowd swelled, teenagers clambering onto red buses, office workers abandoning pint glasses, influencers angling ring lights against the marble facade. Zegler stepped through the balcony doors like a monarch surveying newly conquered land. She didn't greet the audience, she owned it. The opening notes sailed clear and bright, and for a heartbeat London forgot rent payments, rail strikes, and the drizzle of everyday life. Inside the Palladium, though, the mood soured fast. Patrons clutching £500 tickets stared at a jumbo screen suspended above the orchestra pit, forced to watch the same show the sidewalk was getting for free. A middle-aged banker in row G muttered, "I paid for Dolby Surround, not a YouTube premiere," loud enough for 3 rows to nod. By curtain call, box office staff were fielding refund threats while ushers whispered, "It's only the first night." Online, the backlash ran hotter than the footlights. Clips of Zegler's arms-out pose ricocheted across X and TikTok. Some called it divine, others cropped the frame beside images of authoritarian rallies. Meme builders added marching drums beneath her high notes. Late-night pundits labeled her the Evita of egos. The faster the video spread, the sharper the commentary became. By night 3, the London Fire Brigade had quietly stationed an emergency crew near the crowd. 600 bodies pressed shoulder to shoulder beneath a 19th century balcony wasn't part of the original safety plan. Still, the theater let it ride. Every share was free advertising, and the outside roar often drowned the polite applause indoors. Zegler, for her part, seemed untouchable. She posted a grainy backstage selfie captioned, "Making art for everyone," an innocuous line that fueled even more anger from paying customers. One viral reply read, "Everyone, try the people who paid your rent, starlet." The like-to-hate ratio spiraled. Journalists smelled blood. They dug up past quotes, "Her modern princess who doesn't dream of true love," her clipped response to critics of Disney's Snow White. Each pull quote felt like another match tossed on dry straw. Still, every evening at 7:30, she emerged to sing. Every evening, the sidewalk roared. But Rachel Zegler didn't step onto that balcony empty-handed. She brought a suitcase packed with old controversies, and London was about to unpack every last one of them. Before the balcony even cracked its first marble fleck, Rachel Zegler carried a suitcase stuffed with unfinished business, most of it labeled Snow White. Disney had pumped $250 million into a brave new princess who doesn't dream about true love, and the internet stamped refund across the poster before the curtains lifted. Opening weekend receipts dribbled in at just 40-odd million. Shareholders wanted heads, and clickbait pundits found an easy one: Zegler. Clips of her press tour sound bites resurfaced like bad pennies. "I don't need a prince. We're rewriting the fairy tale." For some, it was empowering. For nostalgics, it was sacrilege. When she added a fiery, Free Palestine post, hours after co-star Gal Gadot shared the opposite stance, culture war sirens howled. The film flopped, review-bombed, then ghosted from the trending charts, but the outrage refused to expire. Twitter historians kept receipts, Reddit threads bookmarked every controversial quote, waiting for a new spark to reignite them. So when Rachel stepped onto that London balcony draped in Eva Peron's defiant white, viewers didn't see an actress promoting a musical. They saw the same outspoken 20-something who, months earlier, dismissed Prince Charming and toppled a beloved fairy tale. That baggage clanked louder than the orchestra below. And London wasn't just any stage. It was a stage with a mayor, a budget, and a press machine that could applaud or slice the spotlight clean in half. At first, the backlash felt like routine theater gossip. Heated tweets, spicy tabloid covers, a few grumpy op-eds. Then the phone calls started. Box office clerks heard whispers about letters to the mayor. Local arts councils logged formal complaints. Safety hazards, cultural disrespect, tone-deaf ego. Within days, City Hall's inbox looked like election season, and London moved the only way London ever moves, quietly, with precision. Zegler's name vanished from a high-profile charity gala program. 2 posters promoting Evita disappeared overnight, replaced by generic tourism ads. No statements, no hashtags, just a surgical erasure. Then tabloids scored a quote that hit like cymbals in a funeral march. London doesn't negotiate with narcissists. No signature, but every journalist in Soho swore it leaked straight from the mayor's inner circle. Social feeds erupted. Supporters howled censorship. Critics toasted poetic justice. Rachel's response? An Instagram story, backstage mirror selfie, chipped teacup captioned, "They said I was too much, so I became more." The post hit 1 million views in an hour and landed on the mayor's desk by lunch. City officials issued a frosty follow-up. "Our city celebrates fearless art, but respect must be mutual." Translation: sing your heart out, but don't mock the people footing the street cleaning bill. Suddenly, this wasn't a celebrity spat, it was a civic showdown. Producers fielded friendly reminders about noise ordinances and crowd control. Insurance premiums ticked upward. And every evening at 7:30, Rachel still stepped onto that balcony, voice soaring above a city already sharpening its scissors. Backstage, tensions coiled tighter, because Rachel Zegler had a countermove no one was ready for, and its fallout would leak louder than any balcony ballad. Backstage corridors smell like fresh paint and fraying nerves. The whispers started as a rumor in the makeup room. "She's furious." By lunchtime, it was fact. Rachel Zegler's team had slipped a crisp, 2-paragraph memo to the producers. The message was unmissable: stop the pylon or I'm out. For a theater juggling sold-out seats and soaring insurance costs, the threat landed like a sandbag. Lose your headliner and you refund thousands. Keep her and you risk a public brawl with City Hall. One executive was overheard muttering, "We're trapped between a diva and a bulldozer," before ordering a triple espresso and another crisis meeting. Word of the ultimatum leaked faster than cheap hairspray. Within hours, entertainment reporters had the bullet points, podcasters had exclusive sources, and Reddit sleuths uploaded screenshots purporting to show the exact line. "I will not perform under a cloud of harassment." Inside the company, reactions split like a cracked spotlight lens. Veteran cast members felt blindsided. Some called it a hostage note, others whispered she was protecting mental health. Stage crew just worried about paychecks. No lead, no show, no overtime. Producers scrambled, phone lines glowing red, trying to convince everyone that rehearsals would continue as scheduled. Meanwhile, Rachel appeared on cue that evening, voice flawless, smile fixed, but the orchestra could almost hear her contract rustling under every high note. Ultimatums rarely stay confined to the green room, especially when millions of thumbs are waiting to smash, retweet. The next morning, the internet picked sides with the ferocity of a playoff final. Sunrise over the Thames, and 2 hashtags are already fencing for top slot. I stand with Rachel versus Evita not diva. By breakfast, both trend globally. TikTok edits rack up 1 million loops an hour, half paint her as a fearless Latina silenced by the establishment, half overlay her balcony pose with marching drums and grainy dictator footage. Celebrity allies tiptoe in. One Oscar winner double taps a pro-Rachel post, then quietly unlikes an hour later. A pop star slips justice for artists into an Insta story and deletes it before lunch. Nobody wants splash damage, but everyone wants the clicks. On the other side, theater traditionalists fire back. "Respect the stage," tweets a West End legend. "Audiences first, ego second." Fan forums explode with ticket holders swapping disaster anecdotes, buffering live streams, blocked sightlines, balcony chants drowning dialogue. A clipped security cam gif of ushers handing out complimentary drinks to calm angry patrons becomes the day's top meme. The algorithms feast. Every fresh opinion triggers 10 more, each sharpened to cut through the noise. Think piece headlines bloom like weeds. Is confidence the new crime? The Perron paradox. When method acting meets metro politics. From Snow White to Snow Job, has Rachel Zegler finally gone too far? Meanwhile, City Hall stays silent, no statements, no denials, letting the hashtags duke it out while their earlier narcissist quote keeps echoing in every debate feed. Yet amid the digital carnage, one truth emerges. Every tweet, meme, and hot take sells another block of balcony view tickets. The controversy is a perpetual marquee light, blinding, profitable, impossible to switch off. Online storms make headlines, but quiet phone calls decide careers. And behind velvet curtains, producers and casting directors were already drawing up lists that did not include Rachel Zegler's name. While hashtags roared, a subtler drama unfolded in inboxes and conference rooms, the kind of drama that never trends but decides who works next season. Casting directors who'd once gushed about Zegler's once-in-a-generation range stopped replying to her agent's emails. Scripts that routinely arrived via midnight courier were suddenly out for revision. A West End producer, speaking off-record, offered the simplest explanation. Directors fear half-empty houses. Investors fear headlines. Right now, she guarantees both. The chill crossed the Atlantic. In Burbank, a Disney exec told trade reporters the studio was exploring fresh directions for any future Snow White follow-ups, a politely coded way of saying Rachel was no longer the default face of the franchise she'd carried 6 months earlier. Rival streamers, always hungry for marquee names, quietly asked about availability after things settle. Translation: call us when the dust clears, if it clears. Even brand partners in fashion and beauty, once dazzled by her red carpet sparkle, began pausing social collaboration. No cancellations, no angry letters, just polite silence, like a phone that rings until hope runs out. In an industry ruled by momentum, that silence is deadlier than a bad review. Talent matters, but perception signs the contracts, and right now her perception is radioactive. Back at the Palladium, stagehands swapped gallows humor. Heard she's singing "Don't Cry for My Next Job Tonight." Only half a joke, because every high note now sounded like a resume in real time. And when the curtain fell, Rachel walked the corridor alone, choices narrowing with every echo of her heels. But careers don't end on a single cue, they pivot, crash, or reinvent. Which brings us to the only question that matters, the one ticking louder than the ovation outside. London's summer air still hums with her voice each night. Street-level choirs of fans, balcony flashes from hundreds of phones, velvet seat grumbles vibrating under chandelier light. Somewhere between those cheers and groans hangs Rachel Zegler's crossroads. Option 1, she digs in, finishes every show, turns skeptics into believers by sheer endurance, carving a legend from controversy the way Eva Peron spun power from poverty. If she pulls that off, London will remember her not as the diva who demanded silence, but as the storm that refused to break. Studios love a comeback. Casting directors adore a headline that flips from liability to box office magnet. Option 2, she walks, spins the narrative into martyrdom, young Latina star chased from the West End by a hostile press. Hollywood, ever eager for redemption arcs, flies her home for a prestige streaming series. The balcony becomes lore, the fallout a footnote. In a year, a late-night host jokes, "Remember when London couldn't handle Rachel?" And the audience laughs because they barely do. Option 3 is the one nobody says aloud. She hesitates, stays half in, half out, singing to sidewalk crowds while contracts evaporate behind closed doors. Careers seldom implode overnight. They fade by increments until the spotlight swivels elsewhere and the silence feels permanent. Which path she picks may land before tonight's final curtain. Will she step through those balcony doors again, arms wide, voice soaring past the street lamps? Or will the brass section hold an unfamiliar rest, the orchestra pit gulping the void where a soprano should stand? Whatever happens, one truth holds. The balcony stunt that ignited a global flashpoint hasn't finished burning. It may torch a promising career or forge it into something fiercer, harder to silence. And the next move, whether a high C or a sudden exit, will echo far beyond Shaftesbury Avenue. So keep your notifications on, because the story isn't over when the house lights rise. In the theater of 21st century fame, every encore can become an explosion, or the note that finally brings the house to its feet. And somewhere backstage, Rachel Zegler is deciding which it will be.